The two people running for the U.S. Senate from Missouri, Claire McCaskill and Todd Akin, were on the same stage, but hardly on the same page at the campaign's final debate last weekend. Politico.com offered this headline: Akin-McCaskill get testy in final debate, and this opinion of the overriding issue of the campaign. Is Representative Todd Akin a political extremist, or is Senator Claire McCaskill attached to President Obama's right hip? Public polling shows the race is tight, but internal poll results from McCaskill's campaign show her with a sizable lead. Now, we know that anything can happen in a campaign, and a day is a year in politics. But Woody, as things stand right now, less than 2 weeks from Election Day, what is your assessment of this McCaskill-Akin race?
Well, the Cozad poll has McCaskill up. Oh, that isn't the Cozad poll. That's the McCaskill internal poll, which I happened to hear about. She showed herself, and this is probably 10 days ago now.
12 points?
No, 9. That's 12s for public dissemination. But it's opening, so by now it may be 12. But at the time I heard it from some people who know, her internal polling showed her up by 9. And I tend to believe that. And, you know, this poll that had him up by 4 is, I could trace the commissioning of that poll for you, but trust me, don't rely on it.
We trust.
So she's ahead by high single digits, and by now it may be in a double. There's a ceiling there somewhere. The voters of Missouri don't love Claire. They'd rather not return her to the United States Senate if they were given another choice. So we're going to find that ceiling. I mean, she's going to go as far up as her negatives will let her go.
Oh,
and what it is, I don't claim to know. But I don't. If somebody believes Akin's going to win this thing, I don't know how they believe that. The question that I raised, and Yale raised too several weeks ago, would the national money come back in when he didn't get off the ticket? The answer is it hasn't come in yet, and it's a little late to start now.
Well, interesting. Is there any race in the country more interesting than this, other than what happened in Indiana with Robert Murdoch and his statements about rape and abortion yesterday? I just
does that reignite the Akin controversy?
Well, I think it does, because I think people have. I mean, all the jokes have been run, and the nastiness is, but not within his campaign. And Woody, you know, who are these people?
Well, it's him and his wife.
The way
and
they
his
have
kids. No, that who you asked me who it is.
Well, but
that's
you know what I mean by
that's
who are these
running
people.
The campaign.
What are their attitudes?
His wife's his campaign
Just in
consultant.
terms of using the denigrating language about Claire and this personal attack. Do they really think they're going to increase the male vote in a white? I don't know who they're going after with the not only the unladylike, but calling Claire. Equating Claire to a dog. Let's just, everybody knows about that.
Wasn't that a little bit overblown, though? I mean, he didn't really, he said she
no,
goes,
Mike, I
know what she said. Let me read it. Or what he said, she goes to Washington, D.C. It's a little bit like one of those dogs, you know, Fetch. Now, that doesn't seem to me like he's saying she's a dog. He's just using an analogy.
Mike, it was universally understood as the nastiest.
It wasn't universally understood because I didn't understand it that way.
People that try to denigrate women in public and compare them to dogs are all alike.
So Republicans actually took it to the next level.
Well, I know that. That wasn't the candidate himself, and that was on.
Yeah, his aide actually clarified what he was saying.
I know. But that's not what he said.
Yes, he made it real clear.
Well, he didn't say he was clarifying.
But he understands what he's doing.
Anyway, I want to go over here. Republicans, then, if they lose this race in Missouri, really have no one to blame but Republican Todd Akin.
Well, no, I mean, absolutely. Now, when you say
it's a race they could have won,
when you say, hey, the races turn on a dime, well, it turned on, you know, August the 13th or whatever, that Friday night when he gave the interview about legitimate rape, and then it was broadcast on Sunday. National media pickup, more or less, game over at that point. Now, the other thing is, well, will Claire say something stupid? Or will there be, which she won't, I mean, Woody and I already agreed on that because she's a veteran politician, or will something about her campaign or her husband come up that will put a question in people's mind, like, wait a minute, I don't really want her in there. Now, the Akin campaign is making much of the investments that her husband, who's this multimillionaire, has with federally subsidized housing, all that kind of stuff. One, it hasn't stuck, and two, it's really a problem, kind of this late date, to have something, unless it really is clear. And that thing at least in my mind, is unclear.
So at this point, and we noted anything can happen in politics, and a week is a year and all of that.
Well,
are all 5 of us in agreement Claire McCaskill will be reelected?
Yes, and there's this little
Absolutely.
fact that's, you know that Claire's mom is
Yes.
very ill, and that, she has called off her campaigning till Sunday. Everybody's very concerned about Betty Ann McCaskill because she is
let's not go too far.
Just a moment. Just
Let's
a
not go
moment.
too far
You know,
here. I
wait
mean,
a minute.
a sick
Look,
mother is not a campaign issue.
You don't like to insert personal things into politics, but this is personal.
Let me say we all wish
Yeah. It
Claire's
means
mother, Betty Ann, a
For a
prompt
week.
return to good
For a
health.
week, she won't be able to
The
campaign.
third and